Hey, everybody, long days and pleasant nights. Welcome back to a walk along the beams, our, Dark Tower journey. As we, I don't know, I'm getting offhand. I'm gonna say hi to my panel that made it tonight. We got Namman and Steve, the voice White Walker. um, the rest, the rest of our quartet is one way or another indisposed at the moment. Everybody either
Celebrating the Family Memorial Day.
yeah,
Is
or
that what it is
has
this weekend?
or has other issues. They might stop by. I mean, it's not a definite thing, and I do have some answers to some of the questions from one of our quartet members because he was scheduled to be away at this time. It's Philtastic's anniversary, which is a pretty big thing. Happy anniversary to them. So, Wolves of the Calla. This is our part two. We read pages, I think 346 to the end of the book. It was Gran-Pere's Tales where we started at. I kind of misstated that. I always forget in this book that there's two Gran-Peres. There's Tien's grandfather, Gran-Pere, and then we have Gran-Pere Callahan. But that's kind of where we at. I'm going to touch base with the chat real quick. It's not a deep chat tonight, so it's not going to take us long. But I do appreciate everybody that stopped by. But we got Trev and Tina. They are technically indisposed tonight, but thanks for stopping by, guys. I definitely miss Trev being here, him being one of our new readers. I love having our new readers here. Kenneth Bird, what's up, Kenneth? Glad to have you.
Hey, Kenneth. You've been
we got
all over the
Cheney
place today. Cheney.
Hello, Cheney.
Man, thanks, Cheney. I love having Cheney around. He gets into the discussion. So I'm going to start out like I normally do with the summary, and then we're going to get directly in the questions. So it's broke up in little like sub-chapters. So we got let me make sure I'm reading the right thing. Gran-Pere's Tale, Nocturne Hunger, Took Store, The Unfound Door, and Priest's Tale concluded. We start this part with the Deans out at the Jaffords farm. Eddie and Susanna getting up close viewings of the Runt kids. After an amazing jump rope session, we get T and Gran-Pere's tale of how they once killed a wolf. Eddie learns it was Molly the Red that actually killed the wolf and learns their secret. We head back to the great banquet hall where Mia feeds her chap while Jake watches in shadow this time. We get a scene of diplomacy at Took's General Store and learn of Diplo naps. Roland hears Callahan's story from Hendrix of the Manny and learn of the Unfound Door. And finally, we conclude with Callahan's story of his entrance to Midworld thanks to Randall Flagg and Richard Sayer. My first question of the night is we learn of Tien's dislike or straight out hate for his grandfather. We also learn the story that it comes between his grandfather and his father. Why is Eddie so put off by this? I mean, he to the point where he is like, bro, you need to stop this, blah, blah, blah. He stops Tien, cold, start and tells him, you need to put that behind you. We need to get to the stuff at hand. Why do you think this bothered Eddie so much? So I'm going to start out with you now. Why do you think Eddie... Or if you don't have an answer, I can go to Steve. I kind of threw this out. Threw this out there. Why do you think Eddie was bothered by this? And to this one, I don't really have an answer. This is kind of, I might have a guess that kind of goes with this, but
I think it's because of Eddie's dad wasn't around. His older brother Henry was basically his dad, so that growing up without a father, and then if he sees somebody else mistreating their father when he never even had one, it's going to piss him off, right? I've seen this before. So
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah. That's why you went that route. Even whether he has dementia, he's a pain in the ass. I mean, your dad is your dad. If you don't have one, You're gonna envy all the friends that he had when he was a kid that had their dad around and probably saw whatever tender moments they were having with each other, right? And he doesn't have that.
Mhm.
He's missing that. So if anybody's, just saying, disregarding their father, it's like, Jesus, I don't even have one, man. Don't be doing that shit.
Yeah, having that
Yeah.
opportunity that others don't, and just disregarding that opportunity that others don't.
Yeah.
I think I'm same wavelength. That's what I'm. Go ahead now.
What do you think, Namman?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's always missing that father figure, and someone mistreating that father figure. Another thing is that Roland is sort of like brainwashing these guys to respect your dad.
The face of your
Okay,
father, right?
face
Don't
of your
forget
father.
the face of
You
your
forgot
father.
the face of your father,
That's
So,
right. That's a big
And that,
important thing.
yeah, it is. It comes up quite a lot, and it's used quite a lot. I mean, he throws that at the enemies, um, and that's kind of funny because it's a known fact about Stephen King that he did not have that father figure in his life, right? Usually, father figures in his book are the opposite. They're like the bad guys, because
Mhm.
that's kind of where he came from. So it's kind of unique to have a story, especially from King, where father figures are kind of like held to this holy status kind of thing. Oh, you forgot that your
I don't
face of the father.
know. I don't know. He's been writing some bad fathers in this book. So
We have
I'm
good
not.
days
I'm
and
not.
bad days.
I'm not saying he's highlighting all dads. I mean, but I will say it is. It is an ongoing motif since we started the book. That face of your father thing, and then,
yeah.
but I mean, even within the book, I mean, we got Jake's dad and Jake's dad not being the greatest of fathers. I
Yeah.
don't know. All right, so let's go to my second question. Many mysteries that surround Black 13.
Hey, Brian.
Uh, hey, what's up, Brian? Glad you can stop by. Um, so many mysteries that surround Black 13. Constant readers know why Mia is drawn to the banquet hall. We do know where it is. We know, I mean, we know that. Okay. So, but why take Jake and Roland toe dash with Mia to the banquet hall? What purpose does that serve? Black
Ooh.
13 or the king himself? Why? Why not Eddie?
Hmm.
Both times when Mia gets to go feast in this book, and there's some of my, I mean, if folks in the chat, folks on the replay, if you have never read this book, this is where Stephen King finally delves some horror into the story. And when you travel with Mia and her little eating expeditions, they are some of the most horror-filled
No,
scenes you'll.
you asking from perspective of Stephen King. Why did he write it that way, or what do you? What's the question again?
Actually, you could answer either or. Why do you think Stephen King put that in the book? Or, I mean, the real question being like, what purpose does it serve? Either
In the
the ball,
story,
yeah, yeah, yeah. What
what?
what purpose? Because in context, the ball, it makes things go toe dash, but it picks like it picked Callahan, it picked Roll. Okay, so it sent Mia with a purpose, like she's feeding. We know
Yeah,
where she's going. That's part of the purpose, right?
I,
Okay,
I,
so
I would.
why?
My thought is that I would think Eddie will always will be in denial, not accepting that particular, you know, like you're the he's they say
Kind of like with the Detta and Detta, that whole thing, where she was kind of
uh,
like
light shines the darkness under the lamp. I mean,
maybe
so
he.
he's just too close to it for him to see it. So that's what I got out of it. When I mean, not just traveling with her, but just the whole thing where where Lola notices her body changes and her habits in moaning and all that stuff, but Eddie's like sort of unaware of it.
That
His
is true.
senses, his senses are a little.
Like
He
dulled,
just
and
yeah,
I
dull.
think
Yeah,
you're right. That
yeah.
all ties into the romance part of it. I would agree. Because when you're in love, especially like that, and, you can be blind to some things. Especially like
Mhm.
some blemishes that your partner might have in the beginning that you might not see right away, kind of thing. Um, Okay, so Naman, go back to this. Let me like redefine it a little more. Black 13, we know, is the eye of the Crimson King, right?
Right.
What purpose would he get from, Roland going toe dash with her, or Jake going toe dash? Because remember, Black 13 is specifically sending them places, and it picks who goes. And both times, we not at the same time in the book, but different occasions. We have one. The first occasion, Roland goes with Mia, and the second occasion, Jake goes with Mia. I almost said Kia.
Mm.
What do you think? What do you think the Crimson King gains from that? Like sending. I mean, you think it would be the opposite, right? Because that's like giving your enemy like, information that he wouldn't have otherwise. Hey,
Mm.
Christina Payne. Glad you could make it. Thanks for
Hi,
stopping by.
Hey,
Christina. Ambient Storm. Ambient
Yeah,
Storm.
Ambient Storm. Um, what purpose do you think that serves? I mean, it's kind of like the opposite, right? Why would your enemy like kind of give you information kind of thing? And actually in this book, we have two moments like that. And I'm going to get to the second one because that's kind of in this part too. I mentioned that with Randall. Um,
I'm feeling
why?
it's kind of no choice. He's Black 13's got no
Ah,
choice. Roland never misses a goddamn thing, and Jake is
okay.
psychic, right? So if
Okay.
Jake
Okay.
is psychic, and Roland never misses a damn thing, you might as well just let them see your plans because they're going to figure it out anyway.
I could go for that. I could really go for that, especially since you named two major keys that could be a part of that, right? We do know Jake has the shine immensely,
Got it.
especially in this book. He's using it big time, especially on Roland. And Roland's supposed to have these mental shields that go up when he knows people have the touch around him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I feel like you could be on the right path on that thing.
Another thing that would hinder them is it would make
What's up,
them
Rich?
really hard to decide. Can we actually, you know, the child could come in anytime, right?
Hmm.
And, can we take a chance on, you know, for instance, her being not available during the final battle, right? Can you take a chance on that? And so,
I mean, that is a
Yuri,
major issue throughout the whole book, right? I mean,
yeah,
all the way
yeah,
up until the end, we don't really get an answer to that part, and it's
yeah.
really during the very last chapter with the wolves we finally get an answer between Susanna and Mia when they do their little pact. Like, hey, let me finish this fight, and then after that, um,
And it
but
did
the
break
whole.
up. It did break up the group. It did break the group up. So,
Mm, another question of mine, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
yeah.
Um, I always kind of wondered about that because there is a lot of that in this series where we do have the enemy or what we perceive as the enemy, right? Because still at this point we use that word villain, enemy, but they haven't really shown those like key factors of why they would be a villain or a bad guy, or we're calling them these things based on certain like but we technically don't have a definition on that at this point. And okay, so like, why, if it was the enemy, why is the enemy just shelling out information in this regard? Why is Randall, Walter, help, and I can go with that regard, like cause working in both ways, like maybe it could be the
Ch-
bad side of call. Ooh,
Channing has
castles.
some. Channing has input feedback.
Let's see what Cheney has to say. Maybe the Crimson King wants to make sure the chap is born as planned. I also like that too, because that is also part of the predestined,
It's
stuff that we
crucial.
already know.
It is very crucial.
I do like that.
I mean, the if Crimson King will be dealing with the huge random card, if Eddie knows, Eddie could behave any
Yeah.
different ways.
Yes. Yes. And it's even stated that way when we get to the abortion talk with Callahan and Roland and stuff when that comes up, and Roland actually explains that if that is brought up to Susanna between talk about the abortion, and he finds out that Callahan had a part of the decision that goes into that, that Eddie would literally kill him because of that. I always read that as like, dang, man, that's some harsh stuff. Like, you give your wife some advice about abortion and it's against it. And he's like, oh, well, you need to die because of that. Like, dang, like, but okay, different worlds, different strokes, different folks. Maybe in Geely that, they take that stuff. What's up, Will? How you doing, Fox? Yeah, they do. The tower.
The tower.
Okay.
That's our rally call.
The tower.
The tower. Yes, and unfortunately, Will, that Roland never screams out. Well, at this point, he's never screamed out the tower. That's something I did. That was a joke.
Yep. He's just jonesing for it. That's all.
Uh-huh. And Trev is he's busy tonight. He took the night off. This is who you got over here? Is me, Steve, and Nama. Hey, look, here's Aaron. What's up, Aaron?
Aaron's on the chat. Aaron's on the chat.
The Rose.
Yeah, the Rose. That's next. The Rose. All right,
Save
so
the Rose.
All right, so I'm gonna get to my next question, and this is one of my. It was kind of going into the same one we're talking about, but after escaping the vampires, Callahan is taken right back to the way station, where Walter awaits him. Why not kill him? Take him out of the game, as Walter says. Why not kill him right then and there? This dude literally escaped one world, went into another, found out he went through a door that he didn't know was there, and walked right back to the enemy after he escaped the enemy. And what does our enemy do? He lets him go. And then tells him, hey, those are your friends that you need to catch up with, and they're right over there.
Go get them. Yeah, that's important.
What's up, Robin?
Hey, Robin.
Hey, Robin. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so here's my question. Why not take him out of the game? It's stated multiple times in this book. For some reason, we don't know at the moment. We do as constant readers, but it's not known why the enemy wants to take out Callahan, why he's so important. We don't know why the vampires are like, why is this big chase on Callahan? But we do know that they want him out of the game to the point where they create this master mold, like conspiracy, like trap to get a hold of him, which I love. It's one of my favorite
parts.
That
was a beautiful trap, man. That was perfect.
Okay, so why not kill him? Now, I get why Richard. Go ahead now.
They got him right in their hands, right?
Yep, they did. He got away, and then he came right back to the enemy.
Yeah, right back to him
because he was in the way.
So I mean, if
there was Walter waiting for him.
Yeah, literally the first person. Literally the first thing you see that he hears is the father.
Hey, father.
Hey, father.
Hello, Mata. Hello, father.
Hello, father. So what's the point of that? If we're playing castles or chess, and Callahan is definitely one of the pieces that needs to be removed off the board for the enemy to win. Why not remove him? Why keep doing this whole why save him? Why let him go through the
the delivery man? That's why. Because they had a change of plans. Originally, they were going to take him out, and then there was a change of plans. Wait a minute, we need him as a delivery boy.
Oh, it's all Black 13. It's all Black 13 related. You think it's just that? They couldn't have found.
He was against abortion, wasn't he not?
Ooh, you bring up a good point.
He was against abortion.
You're right. Yeah, there was a multiple factors there. He's part of the quartet, right? Roland realized that right away. He's like, wait a minute,
right off the bat.
He plays a role with us, and more than like you said, more than Black 13.
That is a new thing, a new feature that's not seen in many stories. You don't do the hero's journey, and a part of the way you pick up new members in the journey, usually it's the original set that's set out. So it's kind of a unique thing that Stephen King did. It's not. He didn't create this or nothing. Don't think that. But to throw a whole new character that at first seems cool but eventually you learn is going to be a part of the main group. It's kind of fascinating, And then on top of that, Namman, you do bring, maybe the priest had to be there, and to get this dude there, they had to do all this. The bad guy had to do this.
they had to make a whole lot of change because of him, right? The plan changed because of him.
Well, I mean, look at all the times they were trying to catch. So okay, so let's go back. Let's run this scenario, fellas. So all the way back in the beginning, when the low man are messing with Callahan, right?
Yep.
If
They're
he would have
chasing him.
found one of those, if he would have found one of those posters and just called the number and went to the low man, you're telling me that they just would have sent him to Roland like right away, or
Nope.
do
They
you
probably
think
would
they
have
would have
smoked
killed
him.
him?
They would have smoked him.
Yeah, I think they would have killed him.
Yeah, because that was their standing orders at the time. They didn't realize what the bigger picture, because these are lower soldiers on the totem
Can't.
pole. They don't see the big battle plans, right? They just they
That
know
is
what their
true.
job is to do. So Callahan didn't factor into them until they were overridden. But then see how funny how Ka kind of steps into the picture too, with him being able to jump out the window. Like that
Mm.
wasn't part of the plan. You know, he's
No,
inside
none of that was.
that was beautiful.
Oh, I
Like
love that.
nobody expected him to do that, man. He'd freaking jump out the window. Like Christ, they were
You
all
you talk
stunned.
you talk about I love this scene more than I actually love our climactic ending with the wolves.
Yes.
You know, I love the whole anticipation of the scene, the whole how it goes down, and especially if you read it both ways, right? If you read it scene for scene, and that's what it was. You know, the bad guys fucked up, and this guy got away, or it's our Rocky Horror Picture Show, and they just put on this elaborate play to make it look like they were going to capture him. And they were like, "No, we need this dude to go out the window. And he's got to jump, you know. So we're going to have to." So I mean, either way is this fantastic. I mean, now think about it. Think about it. The Crimson King is this smart and detailed. I mean, is he? I mean,
I
he
don't
is.
think so. Maybe he is. I don't know. Some of his blind thinking
Because
luck.
you think about all this, they got this corporation set up. They got this, you know. I mean, and I can get behind all this, right? We got this, you know,
Okay,
this.
hold on, guys. Let's you have you not played a game where you just die right off the bat, then you go again and you figure out the new trick, and okay, I figured it out. Okay, so then you die because of something else just unexpected came up.
You
And
reset
then
the
you,
game and you do it
you
again.
keep on going back. You're going back.
Yeah.
As long as you got the lives returning, you go
not
still
smart.
going back. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not smart. It just figures out next moves.
It's just repetition.
Yeah.
That's what it is. He
Especially
just
when you know
okay.
what's going to happen next, right?
Okay, I could get behind that. I can get behind that because we have some evidence behind that. I mean, we do, but some of the okay. So Aaron he puts out Callahan might be more powerful than Randall. So Flag was too scared to handle Callahan himself. I can kind of get behind this, but not at the point where Callahan was there because I don't know if he had the faith that makes him that powerful. You know that and power of the white. I mean the yeah, that's a big thing. I believe that and that's a huge thing in this book, right? A lot of people believe that the king is like anti-religion and this and that, and then we have this character where it is destined where our main troop needs this priest to come in, D&D style. They got to have a cleric, I mean it's we're about, I mean, just the talk of dealing with this thing, right? It's called Black 13. I mean,
I don't know if a king is anti-religion. If
he's
a guy who's freaking anti-religion puts a lot of religion in his books.
he's not. He's not. That is a huge misconception that
Yeah,
for
well,
some
that's what I'm saying.
he's not anti-religion.
Yeah.
No, because we already know it. I love you that for that now, and there were some I wish you would have brought up because I do love all his connections to literary works, and guess what? That's religion too, and I love when you do catch those. Well, let's move on. Because we actually could talk about this for a long time. Why do we think King at this point in the junction needed a priest? I mean, I can give some thoughts, some theories. I mean, I can remember at this point, especially what we were dealing with, vampires coming in, the mention of werewolves, the Cantoi, the Lowman. We were kind of getting in some kind of like evil or parts of the journey kind of thing. So a priest just kind of made sense to me, kind of thing. I don't know about y'all. Who was excited when y'all read this the first time? had y'all read Salem's Lot before this, and were you excited that it was a character from another one of his books? Was that even a factor? Or for me at the time, I can say I had not read Salem's Lot. I read Salem's
Yeah,
Lot after.
I hadn't read it either, but my wife had, and we were both reading the Tower series together. So when she
Mm,
came to that point, when we both came to that point in the book, she started telling me about it. And then I
mm.
had to flip, and I said, okay, once I finish this series, I'll go read Salem's Lot, which I still yet to do.
Yeah, I
I,
read Salem's Lot.
Nope.
Oh, it's so good.
honestly, I don't remember if I read Salem's Lot or what was it, Black House? Was it Black House?
Black House. No, Black House is the sequel to Talisman, the Jack
Yeah,
Sawyer.
that one I'm having trouble with right now.
Salem. You hush your mouth. Black House is good. You just got to make it past the beginning.
I have finally gotten to the good parts now. Finally, I get past all that crap flying through the air
You
and
got to
shit.
make it to the
Jeez.
bikers. Yes, Black House. I don't know what he was. It's Peter Straub. I'm
That's
blaming it on
Peter's.
Peter
Yeah,
Straub.
I'm going to blame it on him too.
And R.I.P. You know, he passed away, but it's his fault because he's dead now, and he can't argue
That's
it
right.
anyways.
I
Okay.
mean,
No, Salem's Lot is
I mean,
exactly.
I don't remember if I read it something. I don't know. I do remember Callahan though. So
Salem's Lot is exactly the way it's described. It's a sped up version in this book, but he does a really good like recap of the story. You know, I mean, but it's basically like it's stated. It's because it's not even really about Callahan. Callahan's like a side character in the
Yeah,
story.
he's a
He's just a
minor character in
priest
that one. Yeah. See,
that
my
Ben
wife
Myers
explained it
and
in
the
such detail to
yeah,
me.
yeah.
I didn't need to freaking read it.
No, and if you have that much detail, like if you've seen the movie, I mean, I'd say that movie's pretty close to the adaptation. There are things that they change, you know, stuff like
Mhm.
that. Like I think in the movie, he melts the cross. In the book, he snaps the cross.
He snaps it.
You know,
Yeah.
it's small, you know, but no, but I will say
Oh,
Salem's Lot
cool.
is one of my favorite ones because it's vampires and king with traditional
yeah,
monsters. I like all that.
Rad
yeah.
says they're
I mean,
remaking
not
it.
read it because I don't like horror story, but I feel like I feel like I read Callahan before though somewhere.
I think
I
Callahan
feel,
was just such a great character. It was just awesome that he wrote it in. I
Yeah.
kind of like that. Like, and I felt like that's what it was. You know, that he was like a beloved character that maybe fans were like, well, what happened to him after he went? You know, and then that's why
so
he kind of
Callahan was only in Salem's Lot and Dark Tower. He was not anywhere else.
yeah, that's it. Just in Salem's Lot, and
Mm.
then
That'd be cool to see the remake of that movie.
times. Oh, no, that would be nice. I just saw it. That would be nice. I know they did one recently, and it had Andrew Broley who was the lead in it, and I think it's actually titled. No, it's not Jerusalem's Lot or Salem's Lot. It has a whole different title to it, but for some reason it got canceled. But it was like it was very high praise. Okay, we're getting way out, but Salem's Lot, if you have not read it, it is a one of because there are some King tales that they have mixed reviews. I'd say Salem's Lot is kind of like one of his more beloved ones because I mean, it's a vampire tale, and you can't. I mean, they're kind of all similar, and Bram Stoker. I mean, I'm not gonna say he copied nothing, but it is unique as far as like who goes up against the vampire, but.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's move along. Let me see where was I. We have seen Stephen King make Roland suffer for his in previous books, i.e., dropping Jake into the chasm, and directly after that, getting basically amputated by the lobstrosities. Okay, so in this book, we see the onset of arthritis. What did Roland do or didn't do to suffer this infliction?
Oof.
Now, I will say I do have an answer to this, and this one is one of the more like hidden.
That's a good one. I don't know. What did he do? Well, we know what the dry twist and all that ultimately ends up being constant readers. We know why that
Mhm.
happens. But yeah, why did it afflict him at this point?
Ka, Kef, white, red.
Is it just one of those fate things where they just want him to suffer some more? It's like, you know what, you haven't been through enough stuff. Let's give you this now too, because he knew what it was going to be, because they called it the twist or whatever, and it was going to cripple him for life, right? So yeah, the absolute horror when he found out that what this is going to happen to him. But yeah, what did he do? What did he do? What did he do?
Or he did not do.
He kept secrets. It's always
now.
The quartet.
There's something that a lot of readers forget about, and I'll just say it's quartet related.
What is it? You got an idea, Namman?
It's quartet related. He changed something. He did something.
Oh.
He changed something. He went off the beam.
Oh.
What did Roland do?
I'll tell you, it's not waste. It's not really.
He did betray them one time.
I'll say it's not really Wasteland related. You're probably thinking Wasteland or Wizard and Glass, but remember, Wizard and Glass is just a story that you tell, you know. So I mean, it's not really like something that. So no, it's something that kind of happens in the Wastelands. Well, it's before that too. But I guess it's Jack Morton. Him changing the doors and bringing back Jake. He wasn't supposed to be, you know, that wasn't supposed to be. And Carl wanted him to work a certain way. And every time he deviates off the path, he gets hurt a little more. Him changing the plot of the door, and then them going back to save Jake using a different door. And yeah, Carl didn't like all that. Like, and incidentally, what does arthritis do? It catches up with you, right? Like, we just spent time in a bullet train, right? Going at light speed, and we come to like a complete stop. And as soon as we come to this complete stop, that's when arthritis comes up. And
so you gotta walk me through your logic here. Like they came to the door that was called the pusher. So what the hell was Roland supposed to do with that door then?
Maybe he was supposed to bring the pusher through.
Jack Mort.
Maybe he was supposed to bring the pusher through. He was supposed to summon all three. And he did with Eddie and Susan.
Oh, so the pusher was supposed to be part of their quartet.
Yeah.
He made the decision. He made the decision when he saw Jake, and he decided to save Jake, even though knowing it would create a paradigm flux. And it did for both Roland and Jake. Were not just one.
Yeah,
two.
I do remember that. Yeah.
No, that action. Not only that, but it set our heroes on one path, which we know. Now it set our villains on a whole other path because they had to change everything based on his thing. Remember, Walter was supposed to be there, but because he changed all that, now it became Jack. No,
if Jack Mort had come through the door. Because remember that whole scenario, Eddie would have been killed because Eddie was down at the shore and Detta had him. And she was going to let the lobstrosities frickin' do him. And she had the knife to the throat of Roland. So there would have been 2 dead guys and then just her and frickin' Mort. Like,
that's if But if Carl wanted this to work that way, Carl wouldn't have allowed that. And think about what they went into right after that. They went into Lud. How would not having a rogue or a criminal have benefited him in that situation, especially like somebody Jack Moore? No, like and this is just one one of the major things that Roland has changed and gone against Ka at this point. It's not the only one, but it's a major one. The fact that he went to that, he was told he was supposed to summon. He had the power within him that was specific. Yep. No, he didn't draw the 3, and they even had to open a 4th door to do what he wanted to do. Right after that, no.
Even that is a sort of like violation.
The 4th door was.
Yeah.
They had to and even like if you get down to the how they had to create it, with summoning a demon. Like they had to do it in the speaking circles,
and they pay for it by impregnating Susan with the demon thing.
Yeah, that was a bonus. That was supposed to happen. They wanted that to happen.
No, it wasn't. That was that's that call working the other way. Yeah, because the red got to go in there because they messed up.
Do you feel like Eddie's always been cucked. Do you feel like Eddie's always been cucked?
Say that. Are you saying cut like CUT?
No,
Caught,
cucked.
captured,
Oh, caught.
Cucked.
caught,
Cucked.
caught in a
Like
trap.
as far as as far as
like
a prisoner.
like as far as Eddie and Susan's supposed to be, but then Demon gets in the way. He impregnates her first. Sort of kind of like Eddie's like, sort of like. I mean, he's the one who's get disrespected all the time, right? I mean,
They have that saying, "A leopard never changes his spots," kind of thing, And we did meet this guy as a prisoner, and the prisoner. I mean, yes, at that time he was a prisoner of heroin, but there's many types of, So I
I feel really bad for Eddie. It's like his woman gets impregnated by a freaking demon baby.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm trying to comment on that, but I always go to Susanna. I mean, Susanna was the one that stepped up, and she was like, "Nah, we gonna do this," and she did the thing, and she's the one.
It also feels like it's not. It also feels like it's the baby's product of Roland and Susanna rather than Eddie and Susanna. You know what I mean?
That is mentioned in this book. It's mentioned 3 times, I think, where
and
that concept is not. It's not Eddie's baby. It would be like Roland's baby, which is such a weird concept to have. Like, Roland's not sleeping with the woman, so and then I mean, we haven't seen any kind of magical or spiritual stuff leave Roland to but that
Susanna her name happens to be Roland's previous love, ex, and and so it's sort of like the King Arthur story, right? King Arthur story where Sir Lancelot sleeps with the
Guinevere.
Guinevere always seem to have that little. These classic tales seem to have this little betrayal by woman to main character kind of thing, right? And it seems like Eddie's the one, the blunt end of all that in Dark Tower series.
It's only Teenage Wasteland, baby.
Yeah. It's true.
Teenage Wasteland.
I mean, I think they all suffer in different ways. I mean, Jake definitely. We're gonna get to that in a second, but Eddie, we know. I mean, we know. But I want to say that at this, okay. We talk about and some people say things to me, and they're like, "Oh, well, Stephen King was lazy on this or that." Okay, I'll tell you one thing that I thought Stephen King was really lazy on, and it still bothers me to this day. The fact that he named one of his main characters off of one of the other main characters. We had just spent a whole story with Susanna and or Susan, and then we get Susanna right after this. It's like I always wish.
You think he was his laziness, or he did it on purpose?
I'm not saying that, and I say that, yeah, pick another name, and I say that I said this to you, Namman. Stephen King is a wordsmith, and especially at this time, you're talking about this time, he's already written 40 New York Times best-selling world. Yeah, I mean, he's a wordsmith at this point, especially because at this point, this is him after stopping all the bad. No, all his stuff is okay. Now he forgets. I will admit to that. He has a very bad memory.
Yeah, okay. The thing about it is these are 2 huge characters, right? I mean, and you think he would have, because I need to come up with another name for female, this main female character. I already, and then I want to go back and talk about this main character that Roland loves. I'm so lazy. I'm just gonna call her Susan. I mean, come on, man. I cannot believe that, man. I just cannot.
It's not lazy. That's what I want to say is accustomed to that. Really, I want to accustom to it. He forgot. He forgot that he named one of his main characters in the book right before.
I cannot believe that either.
Let's just call him Paul.
Yeah,
Or caca.
I'm saying Roland is telling one of those cop stories. Is that what I'm saying?
so there is not one set thing that Roland did to deserve the affliction of the arthritis. That's a major thing I can say. Do y'all have
Okay,
any
well,
other ideas?
I agree with that. Oh, another thing that he did.
Yeah, do you have any other ideas? Maybe something he's done since he got to it could have been maybe he's just keeping secrets and caught in like that shit.
Well, I mean, he did admit that he didn't know what to do about this quartet being broken up, and
It's not secrets because we read the book. He's not holding Roland doesn't know anything. Like, okay, that's a misconception that comes up on this book because when we get to the beginning all the way to the end of this tale, Roland really doesn't know a lot. And and to counter that, he kind of doesn't want to know. Like Eddie gives him the choice to hear the story, he doesn't want to hear it. Same thing with Susanna, and that's a question I can ask for another day. Why does Susanna not want to hear what the wolves were? Which is not ever brought up ever again. There's thoughts. Okay, but specifically multiple times in this story, Roland doesn't want to know, and he's kind of just rolling with the punches. The whole way he does the him taking down the wolves, that's specifically just the same tactics he used for Eyebolt Canyon, and he states that.
Yep.
What's up, Benja?
ninja.
Um, and Aaron is saying the wheel in another turn. The wit, I mean, it's always turning. What's to say
What's to
there is
say there's a reason that, or
all
other than he's
zombie?
hundreds of years
Why?
old.
At this point,
Thousands of years old.
thousands, yeah, thousands of you. Yeah, I mean that could be another thing. He's 1,000 years old. It was time for arthritis to come on through.
He's been doing
Um,
this over and over. He's getting tired of it. He just wants
Oh,
to get to the
he's running out of
tower.
he's running out of magic juice.
This is
Running
just
out of
another
magic
thing in the
juice.
road, right? It's just another
Magic
thing in the
juice.
road
Naman,
on
what'd you
the way to
say?
the tower.
He's
Naman,
running
wait,
out of,
wait.
he's
Wait.
running out of magic juice.
Now that could be a thing because we do know that, right? We do know that Kef is like the life magic, and it's the source of life, kind of thing. Maybe his Kef's running down,
I
maybe
mean,
that's what.
he should be already be dead. I mean, right? Just
That's
kidding.
blasphemy. That's blasphemy.
Time is accelerating again on him.
I mean,
Yeah,
dude
okay.
should
That could
dude,
be another thing because
dude's
we,
a
we do.
Time is drifting, right?
Yes, because we do know time is moving funny. It's drifting. Maybe that's it. Maybe time is moving in a weird way, and then that part of time is finally caught up with him.
yeah.
I could go with that as well.
Yeah. Well, how was the Rose? I forgot. How was the condition of Rose this time around?
Wait, say it again.
When they traveled to New York,
Hmm.
I forgot the word. Topaz or the
Todash.
Todash.
Todash. When they Todash into the New York,
Yep.
they saw the Rose. I just don't remember exactly.
The rose
What
was
was
still
it?
fine. It
Was
was still
Yeah.
okay. There was a darkness around it trying to get to it, but
Hmm.
they knew there was an urgency there, but the rose was still wonderful.
Okay.
But in this one, they really don't go back to the Rose. This one, every time they go back to New York, it's really like they do go back and check on the lot, and that's where they get the bag. And but after that point, they really don't go back to the lot. It's mainly like them going back to talk to
No,
Calla
Callahan went to the lot once just to get the zip
Mhm.
code.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
The
right. Then
Bango
after that,
Bango
it's just
Shanks.
it's after that, it's just the battle to save the lot and control that
Mhm.
lot.
Which yeah, I'll bring that. Okay, we'll get there.
The
Okay,
Tech
so
Corporation.
yeah, the Tech Corporation. Okay, so the question that I just asked, that the whole onset with arthritis and stuff, I did get an answer from our quartet member Phil. Phil said it's because Roland is harboring a secret, his thirst for the tower. He is withholding info from the rest. I'm gonna have to say the withholding thing could be a key, but really at this point, he doesn't know any more than the group does. We at this point in the journey, I think Eddie, Susanna, and Jake kind of know as much as Roland does, and they kind of know his what his drive for the tower kind of thing. Especially Jake. Jake mentions it all the time. Yeah, he killed me twice. I mean, he brings it up every chance he can. And especially Eddie. We know Eddie knows that. I mean, Eddie's and that's always a fun transition. But Eddie knew the motivation for the tower, the dangerousness that comes from that. He saw it as an addiction. But a couple chapters later, Eddie's right there along with him, like, we got to protect the rose. I got my life for the tower. The tower. No, so I mean, it's not really Roland's harboring a secret. He didn't at this point. He doesn't really have any. He's learning. There's a lot. Okay, so there's a catch all to that also, because Roland does receive information at random points, whether it's information he already had or information from unknown sources. But he every now and then he does get some tower info, like because he does. There are some times when he mentions like, "Oh no, that's not true. I know that." And it's like, "Well, how do you know that?" Okay, so we're gonna. That's basically our first chapter. We're gonna move along.
That was first chapter. We spent 46 minutes on the first chapter.
Yes.
No. That was like it was like the first chapter, but it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was like 6 parts.
Yeah, it's a chunk.
And each part has like a whole bunch of chapters. And he broke it. It's the way it's the way he's breaking up everything. Okay, so here in the second part, we got Secrets of the Dogan. Secrets, the Dogan, part 1 and 2. Pied Piper, Meeting of the Falcon, Before the Storm, and finally the Wolves. And directly after that, we have Epilogue, the Doorway Cave. So we're going to touch base on secrets and go from there. So talks of abortions are quickly aborted. Jake takes a stroll to the Dogan and learns of Slightman's betrayal and Andy's betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
We also learn how the Wolves knew so much. Eddie takes a trip to New York to convince Calvin Tower to sell the lot to the Tech Corporation and learns of the Dogan and Slightman's connection with the Dogan. We also learn that Andy is set up in town like the Pied Piper. Eventually, some of the cards are laid out. They have a town meeting and prepare for the Wolves. Tian and Eddie dispose of Andy in the shitter. The next day, the Wolves arrive and Roland plans almost play out, with little casualties, learning the mystery of the Wolves and their mysterious weapons. But the victory is short-lived. And there's a whole bunch in there. So the first off, yeah, it's a big section there, and then there's a lot that happens in that big section. So let's see. My first one, in this book, the quartet starts to break. Why is that?
The lies. It's the lies. It's all because
the
of
secrets
Susanna.
that there's secrets that they're beholden, and it's all because of Susanna and her mysterious pregnancy. That's what you.
Even though they laid all their cards on the table at one point there, where they had their little Pavlar and they all talked about it. And yeah, you said they quickly shut down the whole abortion idea, but Susan was starting to keep secrets from them because they knew about the telltale with her putting her hand up when Mia was coming, and she forced herself to stop doing that a few times there. And then the contractions and stuff, and she didn't tell them, so the secrets were still coming, right? Not telling anybody.
Any other reasons? Any other reasons?
That's all I could think of.
It's a weird point in our journey, right? It's like halfway through. We got to spend a little, time with our quartet, because most of this has been Roland by himself, or Roland recruiting the group, or him sitting down and telling a story to the group. But no, we're finally kind of like at a midway. I call this a midway point in our journey, kind of thing. And
Jake
all of a
was getting
sudden,
pissed too. Right, Jake was another one because he was resenting the hell out of Roland for he's letting them have fun with his friend out there, but then finds out there's a whole betrayal thing going on, and now he's got to step up and tell Roland his best friend's dad is the one that's betrayed them, and he's going to lose his best friend, and he's worried about Roland killing the dad, and putting him in that shitty situation there where, you know, he was a kid for a while, but now he's got to be a gunslinger again.
You talk about
the one part I got lost in the reading is that when remember when Roland made Jake shoot those dishes?
Yeah, out of the sky to show their prowess.
And then they talked about how his friendship with the kid was kind of changed and not you know, made it sound like it's not no longer a friendship like a kids anymore.
Well, it does happen, and we know why, and it's announced at the very end of the book, and we find it from not from Benny, not from Jake, not from Roland, but actually Benny's dad. It's during the conversation at the very end when Roland's about to kill, you know, Slideman after he knows the betrayal and stuff, and he was like, you know, Roland had noticed that, you know, it was Slideman that had noticed that Jake had changed, but it was really between Benny and Jake, and it was because Jake knew that Benny's dad was.
Well, that part I understand that part, but the part I'm talking about is when Jake shows off his guns. Jake shows that he's part of the gunslinger.
At the very beginning, yes.
Yeah, at the beginning, right? When he shot those dishes off, you know, with his guns, you know, those five, he shot them off, and then everybody was amazed by if that little gunslinger can do that, then you know what the rest of them can do, right? They change it all. You know, so his friendship was going to be just innocent friendship, but they changed that, right? It put Jake in a pedestal for this kid rather than being a mutual, you know, equal friends, right?
On the same level.
Yeah, it's not a same kind of friendship that Jake probably would have wanted. And
because it was told that Benny was a couple years older than Jake. And if they had just met and he didn't know anything about Jake being a gunslinger, Benny would have taken the lead in their friendship. It was the other way around because of Jake's prowess.
Yeah, because he had seen, it's because of that moment, because he had seen, you know, what Jake was capable of. Because past that, whenever they're mentioned they're hanging out, they're just doing kid stuff. There's nothing special.
Jumping in the hay and swimming.
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
Jake's not doing any kind of gunslinger stuff around Benny. It's just, you know, they're doing
have his
kid
gun
stuff
with him. Yeah.
No, he did it to that point. Even when he does have to take the gun, he feels weird about it, you know, to the point where he has to ask Roland about it, you know, kind of thing. No, but you are right, and it's due to that, you know, and that's that whole, like, you know, that question comes up in the book. Well, why does Roland keep sending Jake out there to? And then it's a question I was going to ask y'all. You know, why does Roland determine to send? You know, and you could say it's the whole, like, oh, well, he knew from the beginning that it was Benny Slightman was the betrayer, which he does. It's because of the glasses. You know. But there's deeper reasons on why, and we learn from Roland himself why he sent, you know, Jake. Even though Jake doesn't get it, but you know, for Roland, it's that he wanted Jake to be a kid, kind of thing.
It turns out that's not what I mean. Jake is the one who has to make a humongous adult decision here. I mean,
he did, because he could have kept it secret, right? He could have not even told him about Slightman and what happened over the Dugan. But luckily, he did tell him all that information because that was pertinent. But already Roland had, you know, he had his suspicions. He just didn't know how deep it went.
And he took upon himself to, you know, I mean, he took a lot of chances.
He did, but you know, they wanted to make sure, and that's the way he's taught. And the same thing with Roland too. He wanted 100% validation of this. He didn't want, oh, we think this is what's happening. No, we need to know what's happening to make the proper decisions.
Honestly, I don't know about y'all, but even when I read Jake's part, it's actually, for me, it was reminiscent of Roland's years at Mages. You know, it was kind of the same, like, you know, kind of the way his father sent him there with the whole, like, hey, we're just going to hide you from the bad guys. But no, we knew that, you know, Steven had the bigger plan, and he knew that something was up at Mages, kind of thing.
You know, these gunslingers, you know, they're not good to their friends. These guys,
That's what they are.
They like go to
they,
their friends or
they
their
deal in
pets.
death. Remember, they deal in lead.
Yep. I'm just gonna say, have you ever been friends with a cop? Let's
Yes.
just say that. I mean,
Yep.
they could be really good, but there's sometimes you got to be a little careful around them. I mean,
Those sociopathic tendencies come out because what does it take to catch a criminal who is a sociopath? You need cops who have to be sociopaths to catch the criminal, but they're on our side, so they're still the same as the bad guys, but they're not. Just don't tell a cop that.
yeah. I kind of wish that was a little more there, and maybe crime wouldn't be that. Okay.
But that's the fact, Jack.
All right, so leading. I'm going to read off Phil's question to that. What was it? It was the question was before I even started. It was that why does the content breaking? Why is that? And Phil was saying the cracks are starting to see the products of the outside influences. Like, he was saying Susanna is being influenced by the demon.
Yep.
Eddie is driven by his love for Susanna. Jake, this one I don't know about, but maybe Jake, he believes he's starting to hate Roland because at the beginning he regards him as a father figure who has been absent in his life. Now sees Roland's motivation specifically for the tower over the father figure part. We all thought Roland was softening to an extent, at least since training Eddie and Susanna. But we are still seeing his motivation for the tower. The motivation will be the death of the tech kind of thing. I believe a lot of that, yeah, because we kind of discussed that, with Eddie being like, kind of partially blind in certain things, I mean, you could say Eddie's putting Susanna up on a pedestal, because he kind of misses a lot of this that goes on with Susanna.
Mm-hmm.
Jake, I could definitely see the father figure thing. I mean, I think at that point in any young man's life, they crave that, especially if it wasn't there, kind of thing. Especially the man Roland is. I mean, just reading the character Roland is pretty epic. So standing in front of him in real life or whatever, I mean, you probably would look up to him, kind of thing.
I mean, part of becoming a man. I mean, becoming a man is figuring out that your father is not all that, right?
That's true. It's true.
It doesn't mean you love him less. It's just that, hey, oh yeah, all the things that my father say, you took it for granted as being wisdom and experience and all that. Then you start questioning. Oh wait, he's not making all the right decisions, right?
Yeah, because it's because I could say you learn that pretty quick as a kid, because as a child, we kind of like look up to grown ups and we're like, oh, kind of like God status. They can't be wrong. They're
And you
guiding.
don't want them to. You don't want them to be wrong, right? You don't want.
Yeah,
Finding that
exactly.
out is not a
But
good.
finding out that your dad's kind of an idiot, or your mom, or it's kind of be a life opening thing, like especially if they said something kind of off balance to you. Like we don't call us a pin, we call it a cake. Like what? No, so I could see that kind of.
Did you guys enjoy what happened to Andy?
I love that part.
Right?
Okay, so the whole Andy thing
It wasn't satisfying for me. I don't know why.
Really?
I want to be more.
Oh, I found that very satisfying. What, blasting out his eyeballs?
Yeah,
throwing him into the freaking shitter. And then
I love that part.
Overriding his commands and then telling him to shut down. That
Well,
was beautiful.
See, the problem is, I just don't think machine cares about whether their things are, smothered in shit or not. I mean,
well, I don't know. He's AI, right? So he's been around
yeah,
and
he didn't like the way people talk to him. He was pretty. He was pretty smug for a robot. I mean,
but
like he even to the point when Eddie was shut him down, this dude was groveling. Oh, please, Eddie, don't you me? I only have this much power left. You little bitch. Like, get out of here. I personally, I can say in this story, and this is kind of a known thing, his antagonist don't always have like the best ending. His climactic, the real quick, the real short. The bad guy gets a pat. He's dead. That's it. That's what happened to the bad guy.
And that's reality too, right? Reality, it's brutal, it's fast, and it's final, and it's done.
Yeah,
I mean, that is
exactly. It's a
life.
lot like it's a lot like real life, and especially like the I remember the situation with Andy reading it the first time. It scared the shit out of me because I literally I almost thought Eddie was gonna die or Tien.
Yeah, I
Like
was worried too.
I thought it was gonna.
I figured Tien was gonna get smoked.
I thought it was going to go down a whole nother way, like especially because there are still in this reading. There's that moment, and Eddie even says, like, man, if they would have been a second, like half a second slower, I mean, Andy would have turned around and been like, man, even when they had him in the house, he was still,
he was fast,
yeah,
right. But they were warned he was fast, and he was.
Yeah, but I mean, without, but that's that whole like, I mean, it's kind of like picking up a new machine or something. You don't know what it does until you see it in operation or you play around with it. And Andy was a lot like that, right? I mean, all he was showing him was the minimum,
But look,
minimum effort.
Eddie is the machine taker outer, man. He took down Blaine. He took down Andy. He's just look out, machines, man. He's gonna wipe you out.
He gonna mess you up, machines. IBM, he's coming for you, and Apple, you're next. No, but I really do like the ending of Andy, and there. I mean, because we saw a different way they took down another machine, and that to me, both endings to the machines were kind of like fabulous.
I love Eddie. I love Eddie.
Yeah.
By the way, what made you Andy? I mean, what was the most hateful moment for the Andy for you guys?
What, the hateful moment?
Yeah,
I think it was the whole kids thing, the whole Piper and his
that was
because that was specifically a part of his program, that he was supposed to become friends with all the children, and he was supposed to lure their friendship and stuff to make sure that he always knew what they were doing, where they were. Like,
I mean, he was sort of like rubbing it in right there in front of them. I'm sitting. He was like,
I like it.
I hated him there. I go, wow, you evil motherfucker.
the parts where Jake or Eddie is like, noticing the smug of his voice or whatever, that, like, I mean, if you're a new reader and you didn't catch the this is a bad guy type of situation, like, he's answering like he's supposed to be this helper robot, and he just told me to F off. Like, what's up, Neil?
Hey, Neil.
Rats, what's up? No, I think the introduction of that type of character, because we had Blaine, but I always saw Blaine as like the stationary bad guy. I mean, like, he didn't have leg. I mean, even though they were moving, they're in a train, but like, it's not like he could have got up and shot him. Or, I mean, technically he could have. I mean, it's a train. We don't know what.
Blaine is perfect.
But it's like
for the riddle master. He was a perfect riddle master.
Yeah, it was, but it was more like an intelligent villain. It wasn't like a monster villain. Andy could have like easily turned out to be like that type of villain. Oh, what's up, Utak? No, Andy for me could have easily turned, and I almost thought he was going to be that way. I thought, like, honestly, I remember reading it, we were going to lose either one of the main characters, or maybe Tien or something. That whole situation was just sketchy, like. Taking him out there to the shitter. Like, for one, I mean, this is a robot. Like, how he had not figured out that these guns that they have claimed that were hundreds of pounds, like, would have been in this little bitty outhouse. I mean, the outhouse was only big enough for like 2 people wide. So.
I thought Andy was
a lot like Blaine. Yeah, he was. Yeah. I mean, you think about it, it technically was the same. Like, I mean, if it was the old ones who created these machines, they probably had the same dudes doing the programming of these machines,
you know what? Would be a really cool villain to meet up later on is to go back in time and meet the guy who created Blaine and
or do a massive prequel from thousands of years back.
I want to meet the old ones. I think there's a lot of stories.
He's an evil motherfucker.
Yeah, those prequels never work out. Look at Battlestar Galactica when they tried to do Caprica. It never worked out. It was just a shit season. So Sometimes you just got to roll with it. The
You
wheel.
gotta have faith that there could be some good prequels. Okay, they used to be a thing. The sequels were hated, in the '90s. I remember those days. And now sequels, they're the thing. And then it was video game adaptations, which and now they're getting better. So I believe we can get some good prequels out there. Just
All
hold
right,
on,
he's got
folks.
faith, brother. Faith.
20 years later. Okay, 20 years later. All right, so let's get into my questions because there's a lot that goes into this. But my big one, and this is a huge unanswered Stephen King question, but I got to ask you guys, who or what is Bango Skanks? Bango Skanks comes up a lot in the series. First time specifically, though, he comes up a lot in this book. Any thoughts on who Bango Shanks is, what's he's doing, why is he everywhere? Because not only have we seen Bango Shanks in the past, present, future, and in Midworld.
Mm-hmm. That dude gets around. I'm thinking of him like a general, like he's the Crimson King's general that's taking care of his little corporation there in New York, and he's overseeing a lot of the different projects. So he's like the big president guy that's running around all over the place and making sure all these things are in places and doing the bidding of the Crimson King. That's kind of how I saw that character.
Corporate executive.
Yeah.
He's also out there like graffitiing stuff too. I don't know. I don't know.
What are you
I
thinking,
get.
man? What are you thinking?
Okay, well, let me give you some references on where we found some Bango Shank stuff because we found Bango. The first time we found Bango Skanks was in Susanna's prison cell when she was locked up before joining the quartet. That was actually the first time we saw Bango Skanks. We also see Bango Skanks in the prison cell where Callahan is in when he, before he ends up in his little vampire thing. We also see Bango Skanks in the lot. It not outside the lot. It's in the lot. That means he jumped the fence and he was in the lot with the rose to write that sign in the lot.
That's right, in the fallen sign. Yeah.
So I'll let you know it can't be somebody bad.
Hmm.
I'm just saying. Now I do like what Aaron said. Previous quartet.
Ooh.
That is a thought because I will let you in on a secret. This dude happens to be at the right places at the right time with the right info. Because every time Bango Skanks has been somewhere, it has been a vital moment in each of our characters' lives, and specifically, he has stopped by each one of our characters at this point, including Roland. I'll give you a cookie if you can tell me where Bango Skanks popped up for Roland. Everybody misses that one.
Was it during the hanging?
No, but kind of close. But no, it is in a past story, but it's during Magus, during the bar scene with it's actually scrawled out on the it's knifed in or whatever.
Oh, on the table.
Yeah, it's not
or on
right.
the bar top, or was it the bar top or the table?
The bar top. Yep. For Susanna, it's on. Well, that could be another thing because each one of them finds his note on a different material.
So it was in oh no, Magus. Yeah.
No, Magus.
Magus, yeah.
So we do find his mark on different types of material like brick, wood, metal. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Actually, I have no thoughts in the Bango Skanks, but due to information, he can't be a bad guy because bad guys cannot get inside the lot. We do know they can get around a lot. But as far as the book has described, the rose is magically protected, and that's what the lot technically is. So and not only that, but Bango Skanks has met all of our heroes on one level or another at one time or another, and we'll see him again. He's not done. This isn't the last time we see
So
him.
let me ask you this. What made you ask that question at this juncture rather than previously or in the future?
Because this is the first time that he shows up multiple times during the book, and specifically like every time they go to the lot, every time they go to a jail cell. Like in this book, he pops up 5 times.
And on the bathroom was the bathroom door when Callahan went through.
Callahan, yeah,
wasn't it right there on the door?
Yep.
Inside joke to King.
That was that's my favorite one. The Bango Skanks was here. It's also on the lot as well. The Bango Skanks was here. I mean, Aaron brings it could be an inside joke to King. Could be.
Yeah,
I want to, I've tried to, decipher the name because we do know that King likes to play with names, the numbers, with the arrangement of the names. That also plays a part.
Does it add up to 19? Does it add up to 19?
It doesn't. As far as I know,
yeah.
the only literary reference I could use to kind of describe what I think Bango Skanks is actually from Lords of the Rings, and I'm drawing a name to the character's name, but there's actually a character in the very beginning of Lords of the Rings that they come across, and his name is like Petituke or something like that, but he happens to know like
Peregrine Took.
Yes, and he happens to know like all these like things that only the narrator of the story would know, kind of thing. That's the only like kind of thing that I can say that I think Stephen King might have been doing, but honestly, it's something that he's never answered. We don't have an answer. I have the concordance, and it just the concordance. But I mean, even Robin Ford, then she doesn't even give you an answer, and that's his second in command. And basically, it's like if you want more information on Bango Skanks, go look at his graffiti sign. I like what Aaron's saying. He's just a graffiti artist. He's like Banksy in New York. He's just a famous graffiti artist.
He's like Ka, right? Ka's not evil or good. It can be anything, so it doesn't matter. It can get to the rose. It's no such thing as evil or good. That's what mankind creates: evil and good, not the Ka.
Now,
Ka doesn't give a shit about good or bad, right? Because it serves both sides.
That's true.
No,
Cheney said he's a graffiti artist in a shop, short story. I'll have to look into that.
So use them somewhere else. Peter
did you thought about why the code for Andy is 1999?
Everything's 19, right? Well, we know 99. The reason, especially in this book, because that is a thing for everything is 19 starts to become a lot more prevalent in this book, and constant readers know why. Okay, but why the switch to 99? And it's got an easy answer, and it's because it's the year that something happened that finally got him to move his butt to finish the series.
Yep.
It's the year that he got in the accident. He almost lost his life, and
it was a near thing.
He believes it was Ka that intervened, so that's why 19 plus the 99, because 19 being the original number, and then 99 being, 19 is when he started the series. And there's other reasons for the 19. He kind of justifies some of them in the story, right? There's 19 core fairy tales, and that is a real thing. So him doing the whole like literary crossover and using the 19, you could say that. No, but 19 being the year he started, 19 being like the number of editors he went to before he got to the right editor to do this story. The 19, it just kept coming up a lot, so it kind of makes sense.
You guys remember Y2K?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big thing then. Everything was going to shut down.
It was so fun. And he says,
every computer was going to shut down.
And it didn't happen.
And every computer was going to shut down because the only thing that PC at the time could handle is the 4 digits. So if it goes to 2000, it's just gonna, it couldn't handle.
Would that have been such a bad thing?
Right.
Return us back to a simpler time.
And
Yeah.
we kind of already went through that where we had shutdowns and stuff. So I mean, it wouldn't have been as bad as we imagined. Like,
Kids would have to go outside and play.
but I do remember that people mass stockpiling because they thought it was the end of the world because our calendar system won't be able to go over to the next 0 1. You know, okay.
99, that is not, because it has to go to, because of what
Yeah.
they did was basically what they did was they didn't want to use extra bit on a computer, so they say, let's just take the 2 bits to till 99, and then if you had the extra bit happens, then you have to have you have to have 2 other bits, 2000, not 2000. So but I was a computer consultant at the time, and I could have taken advantage of that. I said, you know what, you guys need to replace the whole computer. I go, no, this is not going to happen, guys. The program's going to get.
A lot of people did take advantage of that situation and did make a boatload of money because there was all these software programs that were supposed to stop that from happening.
Yeah,
it was just a bunch of snake oil is what it was.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. They made tons of money on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, I thought that was interesting that the 1999 was the code to break the machines.
Well, I want to say the accident is, a huge reason, but it's not the only reason. I'm pretty sure there's other things in '99 played parts for Stephen King because that was a pretty big year with the Y2K, and I mean, but there was a lot of other big things that happened in '99. So maybe it was just like a super huge year for him where all this stuff happened in '99 kind of thing. But I do like the whole like 19 into 99. It's still a derivative. I mean, the prime. Yeah, okay. So let's go back to my next question. Let's go back to something we did kind of bring up earlier, but in the story, this is where it happens. But we see a lot of Roland's quest. What purpose did it serve Roland to send Jake to spend time with Benny Slightman? Now, I don't want you to give me the easy reason. Oh, because Roland didn't get a childhood like that, and that's that's not the case.
What was the question again? I'm sorry. I just got
We
lost
see
in
a
my
lot.
thoughts.
We see a lot of Roland's quest. At this
Mhm.
point, we've been with Roland for quite a bit, and we've seen how he grew up, and what purpose did it serve Roland to send Jake to spend time with Benny Slightman? Now, you can't give me two things. You can't tell me that it's because Roland believes that Jake is missing some childhood, and you can't tell me that it's because Roland knew that Benny Slightman, his dad was a traitor because that's why he did send him. No, but there's another reason, and Jake actually asked this 3 times. And there's another person that asked this question in the book. We don't ever get an official answer to it, but straight from the beginning, even before they learned that even Benny Slightman's on another farm, even before he meets Benny Slightman's dad, that's when he decides to send Jake over there. At that present time, there's no clear reason why you would divide your forces. Is before we meet his dad and see the shack, see the spectacles, so you can't say he knew he was a traitor. And Roland did not have the kind of child he wouldn't know in existence where childs had those kind of lives. Roland did not have that kind of childhood, so he would not be thinking another child would have this joyous playing with toys or no. That's not his concept of how one boy grows up. He kind of explains that all the time, that he thinks the way we live is outrageous kind of thing. And you would see it like that, right? I mean, if every other country you go to is seen as weird due to our traditions or blah, blah, blah. Why do you think?
He sent him out there to be a man. Actually, more precisely, to be a gunslinger and to live the life of a gunslinger. It's kind of like a test of the manhood. So he sent Jake out there to be a gunslinger and to be on his own little quest. And it kind of unfolded that way too.
It did.
Yeah, let Jake grow, but more to test him than anything, right? So all the skills that Roland has put into his head are they going to start working? Are they going to come to fruition here?
A test of manhood, but more so a test of gunslingerness.
Yes. Will
I
he
like
follow
that.
all the credo there and do what he needs to do and kind of show him how much above both Ben and his dad he is?
Hmm. So specifically, Roland staying on task, right? And knowing Jake would stay on task. Remember, in the face of his father being Roland, right?
It's all
Um,
business.
I believe that's exactly what it is, and I think most people take the whole child thing for, like, putting their own experience, and then I don't think that has anything to do with the way Roland, if
That's just a
anything,
bonus. That's just a bonus.
yeah.
So if he get to be a kid, he gets to be a kid. That's great. But
Hmm.
we got business to deal with.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I can see
Especially
that.
especially at this point in time, you could say it's like Roland kind of giving him a break, but at the same time, kind of not. More like a better work situation, let's just say.
Yeah, so he's got benefits in his job there. Okay, so yeah, you get to go jump off and play in the hay a little bit and go swimming and shit. But you still got a job to do out there.
Mhm. All right, I got a big one for you.
Whew.
What purpose does Roland finding Salem's Lot at the end of the story have? Whose purpose? At the very end of the story, and it comes up twice, and Callahan is shown, but at the end of the story, Roland does find Stephen King's Salem's Lot within this story, to the point where they actually flip through it, and it is revealed that it's Callahan from Salem's Lot.
Oh, right, that's
What
in the very end, right? I didn't read that part from this one. Right now, it's
what
rolling
Oh,
around.
yeah, gender.
what's up, El Ray? What purpose does this serve either Roland or who? Is it Crimson King, or
It's a
is this
confirmation. I think it's a confirmation that he's supposed to be part of the quartet. He's reading them into the script.
mm,
That's the first one that pops in my head. Namman, what you got? I'm going to percolate on it. Will you talk a little bit?
Yeah, I need to percolate on it myself.
Yeah. Why does he have
Uh,
that?
I mean,
now Aaron says it's to make Callahan go nuts. It's the Crimson King's doing to break the quartet. Now, Aaron, let me remind you before I like to add on to that, but where we found this book was with Calvin Towers, someone that was protecting the rose before our quartet come along to protect the rose. You're talking about this was in the hand. Now that's not to say. Now let's put some examples out there, because we got our preacher friend here who happens to have Black 13 in his possession for a long time before the quartet came along.
I like Cheney's answer.
Cheney says it's Ka showing them a glimpse of what the Dark Tower actually is. And I will bring that up, that in that moment,
Anyway,
it's,
to me, this is a that is a what I say about self-insert, guys, right?
yeah, you don't like the self.
Yeah, but
I
I
do.
think yeah, I know that's okay, and generally I love this series, so it doesn't matter to me. But I mean that it's not a deal breaker for me, right? It's not a deal breaker. But this particular seems to be a little like a sort of like a foretelling of who's going to come next. In who's going to come next?
To me, that's what I saw. This little tidbit. It to me, this tidbit of information at this point in the storytelling enhanced my imagination. It opened up a lot of stuff, right? Because at this point in the story, we were already dealing with different worlds, and not only different worlds, but different realities, the same worlds. But then we get this question, and that question had already been up twice, right? We get Bachman and we get Stephen King, the writer, within the story before we got here, because they were mentioning Calvin Towers' store within Wastelands. So
Mhm.
at this point, getting a Stephen King book within the book, it just opened my eyes. Like, I mean, my imagination went like, oh crap, like, um, but we're not talking about real life. Like, ooh, yeah, yeah. No, what purpose does it serve within the story? Merger of every universe.
He's being selfish and he wants to sell books.
I will think about it. Oh, let's go both scenarios. If
that's in multiverse number 2022. I think.
Yeah, go look at these other titles of mine and go buy these books too.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, like when you make a YouTube video, when you make a YouTube video and you want someone to see your previous video, you know?
Yeah.
A little self-serving, right? Self-serving.
So
I personally think this is showing you that I'm going to spoil it. I'm going to spoil it. I'm thinking this is him showing that, hey, we're in this too. By the way, every one of you guys are in this universe. So don't exclude this universe out.
So I like that. I like that, and I think that's exactly what he was going for, as far as like you reading it, and like Cheney said, explains what Baum, Rollins, Tolkien, so many other literary sources at this point is in the book, right? Because at this point we've already been through the Wizard of Oz. You could say Alice in Wonderland. You know, we've already been through different Stephen King books because we went through The Stand. You know, we've actually like kind of touched base with Eyes of the Dragon, you know, a little bit, and now with Salem's Lot.
Star Wars, Marvel Comics,
and not forgetting that, because that's what the Wolves turn out to be, is an amalgamation of Marvel Comics, that the Wolves specifically being Doombots, and and their weapons being sneeches from Harry Potter and lightsabers from Star Wars.
He looks like a tower. Look at the Doom again.
He's stealing a lot of shit from a lot of people.
I personally love that, and I know fans like that part turn. You know, a lot of people get turned off by that. I thought it was fantastical.
I know you guys don't. I don't know you guys don't share this, but let me just say it. When something like this happens, to me, it takes me out of the story, right? And I want to be immersed in the story, and I love Stephen King's universe. I want to be immersed in it, but occasionally when this is done too much, right? And when Eddie's going, this doesn't feel like real. I see 19 in the cloud, and Ron looks up and he sees 19. Yeah, I see it too. And I'm going, yeah, you are revealing your stage. You know, I'm watching the stage and I'm immersed in it, and I disregard all these other things on the side, like lights and curtains and all that. I'm looking at the stage and I'm immersed in it, and then Eddie goes, look at the cloud, it's 19. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm taking back there, and I noticed the curtains, I noticed the lights, and I'm taking away from that universe. So that's the part that I don't like, is that when I'm taken away from that. So that's my position on when the story stop you from seeing the universe, rather than when they mention things like this, it takes me away from it. But it's for the brief moment, then I'm right back in there reading, and I'm back into the immersion of the story. But occasionally it takes me out of it. So that's what I'm saying.
I'd like to say that's kind of a normal thing, right? us as humans, we question reality, our reality, a lot. That's why we have like matrix concepts and Mandela effect. Okay, so like, and it is very uncomfortable when someone close to you, around you, questions their reality. It's not a comfortable thing when someone constantly is like, bro, this isn't real life. We're stuck in a simulation and I can prove it. Let me. No, it gets nerve wracking and it does take you out of whatever story you'd be immersed in. Like, and I think, like, that's what I was trying to tell you. I think that's the point of it, is like, and you could say he's setting the stage. That's exactly what he's doing in the foreshadow. This is the part of the story where he's already foreshadowing. He's not foreshadowing anymore. This is the part where he's holding your hand. He's grabbing your hand and he's like, look, look, because the fifth book into it, and you haven't grasped that point, because by this point he's laying all, he's been laying down the foundation of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to say this, that is not the case. That has been said multiple times, and I'd like to define what this means, because that maybe there's a misconception of breaking fourth walls. Breaking of fourth walls, and this does not happen ever once in this series. Breaking the fourth wall consists of a character that knows they are a fictional character and can speak to the actual reader themselves, like Deadpool does. He actually talks to the reader. He knows he's a comic book character. No, 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 no. That does not happen at any time in the story where our characters break the fourth wall and talk to. Um, that is not a thing. Now there is some insert there is some, like, we're getting into that territory, and that's called something completely different. But breaking the fourth wall, that's not a thing, not at this point.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying is that he meant to do this, but there's still that still takes me out of the story, and it still takes me out of the story. I still see the stages, I still see the curtains, and then I'm right back in it. And I agree with him that, hey, I could be the part of the universe, and this is the story you're telling. I, I'm one of those guys who used to take a camera and used to take photos in the. I was a tourist in New York City when Eddie walked by me. I could have just walked by that dog, and I'm one of those. I could be one of those citizens in that universe, but I accept that. But still, this happens to me. In my personal thing happens to me. So that's all I can say. If it didn't happen for you guys, that's great. But it happened.
There's going to be parts of a story that you might not connect with, or connect with, and I can say, and that is something that needs to be said. He came up with the definition of the story at this point, like this book. This is where he finally was like, oh, now I know the ending. Now, in the beginning of the way he explains it is and we're talking about through his drug days, and okay, so like when he first started the gunslinger, he knew where it was going, but then somewhere along the way, he lost all that and forgot. And no, at this point, this book, this is where he finally decided that this is going to be the ending, and this is where I'm going. So
let's with some chats.
That's where he's getting all heavy in the. And Cheney was talking about, he was talking about the doom bots and, the amalgamation, everything. And I agree, he's stealing, but it's for a reason. He's saying the tower's collapsing, the imagination, everyone's all the levels are merging together. I like that. The whole, and it explains the mix of literary sources within the wolves, why it was Star Wars, Harry Potter, and, Marvel Comics, all right. I can get behind that. The whole, because that's a thing, everything's being all weird, and to the point where even that's brought up in the book with Jake and Eddie. They were like, well, it's kind of how we remember it, but not exactly, kind of,
maybe I'm departing from his, like you say, he's coming up with okay, this is where I'm going to go with this, right? And I've been because his ending was open at the time when I was reading all these books. So was I, right? And from here on, I'm going to take it to this kind of universe. and I'm okay. I go, okay, you know, that's, and maybe that's why I just you know, I just love book two, and book two made me realize I like book one, and then I love book three. You know, all the all that riddle, you know, riddle master thing. I love that part. I like book four, and at this point, this is when you know, the my passion for the series sort of, you know, was dwindling away. So, and honestly, from here on, my memory is very foggy between book six and book seven, and so yeah, I mean, maybe that's why, because at this juncture where when I found out that uh, Stephen King was going to take this book this way, maybe this is the way I departed. You know, so, not
I think
always.
it's I think that's a lot of fans. I mean, because this series in a whole is divided. I mean, and the ending is the major reason for that. I mean, that's something that's well known, that that you're either going to love this ending, or you're not going to like this ending. And I mean, there's discussion that comes from both sides. I mean, I've heard both, because I've talked to many people that did not like the ending. I think some of their like reasoning for not liking the ending is a little funny. Like maybe they weren't paying attention so well. I don't know, because the foreboding on the answer to the series is pretty obvious. Like
I mean,
it's kind of,
I mean, if it wasn't entertaining for them, then they would pay less attention to it too, right? So,
yeah.
He gave you
Oh yeah.
clues all the way through. He hinted at it the entire way, and then when you see
Oh
the
yeah.
revelation at the end, you go,
I mean, if that's
"You
what you
can't
enjoy, that's what you
see."
enjoy. I mean, that's,
Exactly.
yeah. I
The
mean,
fact that a writer or wordsmith like Stephen King can drive people so insane is just a gift to right there, right? That's why you keep coming back to it. That he can elicit those emotions out of you just from
Hmm.
reading words. Like,
Hmm.
that's amazing.
wow,
Hey,
I'm not
to
denying all
either
that. I'm not
to
denying
either
that.
pull you in, you love it, or piss you off, and
Exactly. Like, that's an
but
incredible talent there.
yeah. I mean, and he invokes that with almost all his writings, and I enjoy that. I mean, that's kind of one of those things that he's known for doing, is touching bases on stuff that other people don't really want to.
Well, some
Um,
people want a happy ending. They want to have, oh yeah, we
yeah,
have the
that's
hero
true.
and we want a happy ending, right? So that's what people are expecting. But if you know Stephen King, you're not going to get that.
Yeah. Um, And I'm kind of with Aaron. I mean, I see he was like, I see books 5, 6, 7 as one big book, and because they were written so fast together. And books one, two,
Yes,
three are very
they
separate and
were.
different from each other, and they are. I mean, and that's stated in the foreword, and the argument of this book is that all three of these next books were written at the same time. There was no gap in the years. And it's due to that accident. He
Yes.
thought, like, oh crap, I'm on the way out. I better get this done, or my fans are gonna be pissed. They'll hate me. Um, no, but
Well, I'm glad I'm bringing a different perspective in this, because
I am too.
I'm I still think I'm a huge fan of Stephen King, but I I mean, I mean, I like reading other books too. So
Yeah, and I mean, that's the whole way through. That's like, I could state this. Philtastic was not a big fan of this book, and me myself, I am a big fan of this book. I mean, that's. I think there's going to be parts within a journey that you're not going to connect with, and I think that depends on your life and what you've gone through and stuff like that. That's like you versus me. I love Susanna; she's my favorite character, and this journey, yep, she's right back up there. I mean, and you love Eddie. I mean, but I don't see that as a slide, a diss, or anything.
of course not, of course not.
So
No,
But
I
you
mean,
Evil,
love
let me I got to
Susanna.
ask you a question, Evil. When you
mhm.
read The Wolves of the Calabar the very first time, did you love the book immediately or did you
Yes, I want
hate
to.
parts of it?
No, I want to say yes, and I like the whole strife, because there's a lot of things to dislike about this book. The quartet, going through the breaking. You could say the resolution at the end. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you could say that are a lot different, but I don't know. For me, this one I did like it. It's more the Western side of the Gunslinger story, so I do appreciate that part. All the parts we're in mid-world are my favorites. Like I like being in that part of the world versus the our Earth side. Let's just say.
616.
Um, 616. Let's see what Cheney said. I was same as Nama. When I read it the first time, I thought it got corny. He wrote himself, and then we're rereading it. I understood why better. And
See,
I totally get that. I know a lot of people does not like the self-insert thing, and that's a huge thing. That's not even like a one or two people. It's a lot of people that did
a
not
little
like.
self-serving.
Yeah, and they see it as that. You know,
When I first
I,
read it, I actually loved this book. Actually, when I first read it,
Okay.
yeah. So
See, and I hated it the first time I read it. The second time I loved it, and now I always love it because now
yeah,
I
oh
know
yeah,
where it's going. But the
so
first time I read it, it was driving me crazy, especially the beginning part with all the ruined stuff. I was like, okay, I'm bored with this shit, man. Until I
I
got to the
see.
gun battle. Then it was
I
great.
actually like I actually like the ruined stuff
Yeah,
because
the
so
second time I
it was
read it, it
something
was
different.
awesome. I loved it.
I love the snitch part. I remember loving that part. Oh, snitch! I mean, I could revisit snitch again, right? Because I loved at the time. I love Harry Potter. I
No,
really
I
love
did too.
Harry Potter, and so of course I love Star Wars, and I mean Doctor Doom and comic book Marvel comic book. You know,
Lightsabers. Look at that lightsaber. Look at that
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Jimmy's got a
I,
lightsaber.
I, I loved it. I loved it. Okay, that and but as I'm reading through it second time around, it's like when you first hear a joke, you just laugh out loud and you just love that joke, right?
Yeah, and then
But
the second time you hear it, it's
the
not as
second
funny.
time around, it's not as and nothing that affected my enjoying this book as the first time is that my love for Harry Potter has faded. You know,
Mm, okay, I can get that.
and so my love for Star Wars even has faded, right?
Yeah,
Because
I can.
so the I didn't get that.
Let
I
let's
didn't
put
get
it.
that. I didn't get
Let's
that
put it.
exciting. You know,
Let's
just
put a unique just tip on that because when he wrote this book, these companies were not the same company. I was talking about Marvel Comics and Star Wars, but incidentally, now today they are.
yeah. So what I'm saying is that I just I oh yeah, cool. That is
No, but I'm
cool.
with you. But I'm with you now.
That is cool.
Our last book that we read, Wizard of Glass, I love that book when I read it. Like so much. I was so excited about the prequel. I loved all that. But rereading it this time, no, for me it was a burden. Like it was, and that has to
Uh,
do with.
like the second book, I love rereading it. I could go over and read
Oh,
that
I've
book
loved all
again.
of them. I've
But
loved all of them so far. Wizard of
but
Glass was a little tough.
yeah. So anyway, that's my thought. But hey, look, that doesn't deter me from. I still love this book, just that not as much as first time I read it. That's all. That's
Perfectly understandable. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You're
No,
gonna feel what
and
you're gonna feel.
yeah.
yeah, and don't let anybody change. No one's gonna try, especially not in this
Yeah, I
group.
don't want to convince you guys to not like the book. If you like the book, I don't want to convince you not liking the book. I mean, I love the book, so I
and
don't
we
need.
don't want you and we don't want you to stifle your hates or your dislike or no. I mean, there's some stuff. Okay, Stephen King is kind of, I mean, he's a pantser writer, so there's some stuff that he throws at the walls that doesn't always stick. Okay, so I mean, there's some nutty stuff that he's tried. There's some cool stuff that he's done. I mean, not everything. I can say that I often when I'm reading, I kind of wonder what other people when they come across certain things. Some of the things are easier to wonder what people think because they're kind of verbal about it in real life, but you still wonder, like, man, I wonder what people thought about when the abortion part of the story came up. Would they have that same, would they side with Callahan and the religious side of it? Would they side with Roland and the not knowing any of our customs at all? Would that even be a thing, kind of thing? Um,
I mean, I'm a politically, I'm not what do you call it? I let women choose kind of guy, right? But I like his conviction, Collins' conviction. So,
I do too.
yeah.
He's our cleric. He's got to have that conviction. He's got. We need that priest. What's Aaron talking about? Even though. Oh, okay. He's talking about the ending. He said the ending felt anticlimactic to me. Big build up, fast shootout. Even though Roland warned early, this is how it's
Yeah,
going to
he keep
go.
on saying it's only going to be 5 minutes, right? He keep on telling you only 5 minutes.
And Steve said it best earlier that that's real life, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I wouldn't want this. A lot of people. I could see how that deters people. How you get to
Yeah.
the whole book is about the wolves, right? And you finally get to the wolves, and it's literally like a couple paragraphs long. But honestly, it's like, well, what more do you want? You want, pages of Roland Chase and these, No,
Yeah, I do have a question because there's some parts I lost between the reading because
yeah.
sometimes I read audiobook, I fall asleep on some parts and then I don't
Some of
catch
this
it. Right?
fades. Some of
Yeah.
this fades right after I read it. So
So the gray horse,
mhm.
they made a connection with the gray horses with the wolves, right? So what is that connection?
All the horses were gray. Every single one of them. They were all gray.
Yeah,
So they suspected, like, what in reality are you going to have all the
that's
horses
not
the
natural.
exact same color?
Yes,
That's not going to happen. So
yeah,
they're
it's not
artificial.
natural.
So right off the bat, your brain's thinking robot.
Yeah, that was clue number one. The robots.
So did they saw the gray? I mean, gray horses in the field
No, no,
roaming.
no,
They didn't see the gray horses roaming in the field.
No.
no. And technically, I don't think there's ever a moment during this book. Now, before in Mages, we see a lot of horses, but in the Calla, they're mentioned. They're out on other farms.
What kind of horse was Eddie riding? And
They
when
had
they were
ponies.
given
Yeah, they
they
have
were ponies.
ponies.
They were
Ponies.
ponies. They were
Yeah,
not
I
the
think
horses.
they mentioned that they didn't have big, huge horses like they did in the old days. Their horses were
Yeah, they
smaller.
do.
They had ponies.
They do go into that about the stock of
So
the.
they were not. Those were not gray. Those were just regular horses.
Nah, they're just regular horses to the point where,
Okay.
like, I think Jake's pony is black and Eddie's pony is blonde, like they are different colors.
Okay.
But not
No, but
all gray.
that's like the clue to the reader and to our quartet that something was fishy. That all the we don't know at the time how many wolves they are, but yeah, I mean, even if you have to imagine five riders having the same color horse would be unusual kind of thing.
But 70
Not 99.
or 99.
99, yeah, 99 wolves.
So
No, but that was the whole catch, that the wolves were riding robotic horses, kind of like Brave Star, if you've ever seen, the animated series Brave Star. They're riding on robotic space horses.
Doombots, baby. Doombots.
Mm.
Doom.
Yeah, but the wolves and the horses, you could say they were technically connected, because as soon as the rider fell off the horse would stop working. One of the horses actually like fell over in a ditch, where his like feet went upwards, and he was still trying to like do something with his feet.
It was
But
trotting.
yeah, and but they were like connected as far as like they weren't even separate. Like the second you took the wolf off the horse stopped working.
Hmm. Beep, bop, boop.
so they were
Remember
part of the. Were they attached together or were they apart?
No, they weren't attached, but they functioned together, I guess. Maybe, and it is brought up, maybe similar function as far as like the little robots with Shardank, like, because as soon like it, we got to see some of the involvement with those little robots, but we don't know if that. I mean, technically, like if Sharding was there, they probably had shit that they were supposed to be doing and stuff, but all we saw them doing was just going around in this little
Yeah,
circle.
and they didn't describe the horses of having those little radar dishes, but we
No,
did find out from Andy when he was in the Dugan and he was doing his report, what sound did we hear? We heard like a computer dial-up with
The
all
modem.
the
modem.
So the modem. So he's communicating that way, and also the wolves were also communicating in the same way. So it was probably a wireless connection between the wolf and the horse controlling it. So then when you took out the wolf, the horse just lost communication, didn't know what to do, and they
It could be there's something wild in.
Yeah.
Could be something wild in between the two.
That's how I felt with it anyway, since they were making those same damn noises.
Yeah,
like your dial-up.
and that's what it, and that's specifically what it was dial-up modem, and it's even stated in the book by the narrator of the book that if it like Eddie or Callahan had been in the world, our world a little longer, they would have, noted the noise of a modem and known what that was.
Yeah, there was actually a funny little moment when Jake was in the Dugan, and after Slightman and Andy had left, they heard a little jingle, and to me it sounded like words. Our computer, when it's shutting down, it does the do 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 do
do do do do. That's what it was. It was Windows 97,
and he didn't understand what that meant. Jake didn't. Anyway,
that's what it was.
Computers were too primitive in '77, right? They didn't have Windows 99 and Windows 98.
They were still rocking Apple green apples.
Thankfully, when Stephen King was writing these stories, that he didn't invent these phones without any kind of antenna around. Otherwise, Hans Roman's going to kill these robots.
Oh yeah, the story would have been radically different.
Yeah, it would have. Okay, so the very end of the book, we do get to the epilogue. We get the doorway cave, and basically, it's now that the act of the pact is done between Susanna and Mia. Mia takes control to have her chat. Our quartet makes a mad dash to the cave to find Mia, and Black 13 are gone, and that's basically the end of the book. I don't really have any questions. There's no, because any kind of questions from us would just be spoilers. We kind of know.
Well, we're approaching 2 hours, so.
Yeah. I could ask, as when y'all read this the first time, did y'all know that she was gonna take Black 13? Was that even part of your thinking? That Mia was going to use Dan and take the ball with her.
Yeah,
I don't know if I predicted it. I don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember if I predicted that or not.
It was foreshadowed anyway because he had left it in the cave, right? Instead of hiding it back in the church. So she would have had to gone back to the church, got it, and then gone over there, and there would have been too much time. They would have caught her. So the fact that it was already in the cave, and that was the best way to get in and out. But we know that's not the only way to open those doors. So that'll be cool for the next round without giving any spoilers away for that one.
Yeah, how they're going to open the door, because it is mentioned at the end of this book that Roland does know a way to open the door, but it's not mentioned how or what he knows.
Well, Callahan knows, right? Isn't it Callahan that directs them? So it's another reason why Callahan's around, right? Because he's with those relationship with those other people, the ones that are going to help him.
An iconic comic from the Dark Tower series with an awesome cover. All of them have awesome covers because they're all done. Most of them are done by Jay Lee. Yeah, that's a fantastic one with the wolf.
Seaman's tail.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. My favorite is some of the ones with the Crimson King on there. But
Jay Lee covers are just phenomenal, and there's a lot of variant.
There's some variant covers, and there's some what do you call it? Those 1 in 50, whatever those covers.
Yep. Even the A covers were fantastic, though. All the Jay Lee.
I like a lot. Yeah, I love his art, and I was so glad they got Jay Lee for that. And he talked about knocking it out of the park. Just not even the covers, but the inside's the same art. I love
his signature too. His signature is phenomenal. When I met him last year, man, and got him to sign my books, I was like, wow, that's just a cool signature too.
You know what? I'm thinking maybe I ought to take my omnibus to the omnibus.
Get that sucker, son. Yeah.
The Heroes Con, is Jay Lee going to be there?
He was there last year.
I don't think so.
Yeah, then they must have a list of all the different creators that are at the artist.
He was there last year. I don't know why he was.
It's probably on their webpage.
Yeah, it is.
The cover art is just phenomenal.
Yes, Cheney. If you have not, so they do have a big series from the Dark Tower series. Most of it's prequel stuff. but I mean, the art alone is just fantastic, and the art alone, you get to see a lot of stuff that from the book is just imagination, but they actually gave it appearance in the comics and stuff. But the comics also has like, and most of the comic is just done based on stuff from the books. Most of it's Wizard and Glass.
And
Okay,
they're their
so
own stories. They're independent. They're not. They are filler stories, not
well,
a.
in the back part of every book, you get news stories.
That's number one.
Yeah,
Number
yeah.
one from first.
Gunslinger Reborn. So you get in the back of those comics, you get like they're done in parts, but you get news stories that aren't featured in the books. There is one of the series that you get Jericho Hill, and that's one of the series that we don't get in the books that you only get in the comic. That is really the only one you get. Yeah, but all the covers are fire.
Oh yeah, big time.
Now, I like all the Crimson King stuff and the spider imagery and
Walter.
Mm-hmm. Him and his little like
On the B covers.
his mustache.
The Coos. You were trying to figure out what the Coos look like with the
Rhea of the Coos.
Rhea of the Coos. And Susan, of course. We got to have Susan. The original Susan, the OG Susan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that cover.
Now, this was one of my favorite ones.
Yep,
I like
big
those
hunters. Yep, Jonas.
Just a phenomenal
Yeah.
cover. Oh yeah, there's tons.
All right, so I do have one more thing I can read off because we did get some predictions from one of our new guys he wrote in. That's Philtastic. So I'm gonna read off some of his predictions. I wish I would have got some for Trev. I don't even know if Trev finished his reading because he knew he wasn't gonna be here. But let's see. So Phil predictions are for the next books. Jake will turn on Roland. Wonders if Jake isn't. He wonders if Jake isn't a villain that we've seen. Like maybe Jake being a younger version. Let's just say Walter. Maybe he grows into Walter kind of thing. What's up, Scotty? Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so he says. Another prediction is he says Roland is forced to kill Susanna to stop the baby, stop the pregnancy, and it will accidentally hurt. Like somehow Eddie will find out that Roland had to kill, Susanna. And I would just say, Phil, and I hope you got some like really dire predictions. I mean,
damn.
Jake is gonna turn on Roland, and wonders if Jake isn't a villain we've seen, okay? And then Roland is forced to kill Susanna, like my girl. Like I hope not. But there's some good. I will say some good predictions. I mean, we never know. Like, and just think of these possibilities from these things. Think of a possibility if it is a prediction that comes true of Jake turning on Roland and becoming like this master villain.
Damn.
Jake is
from the heart, right?
Jake is the Men in Black. Wow.
What a twist that would be, eh?
Some interesting concepts, I mean, who's to say? I mean, we still got a couple books to go.
I mean, Jake was pretty good at mind reading. I mean,
yep.
He has the touch.
That's true. He has the touch.
Yeah, he does have the touch.
And we do know a certain magician of ours has some of the touch too. All right, guys, that is this episode of Walk Along the Beams. That is our reading for Wolves of the Calla. So there's a little confusion on when our next episode is. I'm going to have to look at it, but technically it's going to be a month from this point. Normally we do a 2-week gap, but coming up, we got Father's Day, but big for most of us, we got Heroes Con, and I know me, Trev, Namman, a lot of folks are going to be. That's one of my favorite covers right there.
Right
I
there,
like
the Crimson King, baby.
I like the spider imagery. Yeah, so technically it will be in a month. I'm gonna have to go back and look at my calendar. I think I have it wrong. It's stated as June 15th. That will not be our next episode.
That's
It will
the
be
Heroes Con days.
it will be in 4 Saturdays from this Saturday, a whole month from this Saturday. So whatever date that falls, that's when our next episode. I got to go fix it
Let's do the
after
math.
this. Yeah, yeah. But technically, it will be 1 month. We're going to start. Songs of Susanna is our next book. This is a smaller book. I want to say it's about 400 pages compared to the 600-700 pages that we just read. Um, yeah, but this one's
Ironic.
a,
My wife is cooking me a rib.
Nice.
hey.
So the
I'm about to do
22nd
that
or the
too.
29th is going to be your time. So exactly 4 weeks is the 22nd. Unless you want to
Okay.
go to the end of the month is the 29th
Well,
of
22nd sounds
June.
good to me.
It's after Father's
Um,
Day.
yeah, it'll be that weekend after that, and then I'll be back home. Most of us will be back home. It's just a weekend event, kind of thing. I'll be there for a whole week. It's vacation for me. Um, but guys, that is this episode. I want to thank everybody for showing up, and Nam and Steve, kept the content alive. I hope everybody out there, and Aaron, I know, man, I know you're hurting. I hope you're getting better. Um, But everybody else, that was it. Long days, pleasant nights. We will see y'all later.
And twice the number.
The
And